Good afternoon, guys. Justin here with WisconsinWX.com. It's 2:10 p.m. on December 9th, 2020. We have a storm event coming up. It looks like for southern Wisconsin mainly. They're starting early Friday night and then going through the day on Saturday and then perhaps in the very early Sunday morning, but we'll see how the timing all works out. As this graphic shows, there's going to be the best potential for accumulating snow in here. I think that there might be somewhat of a sharp cutoff in here somewhere where it's going to be nothing here. I mean, this is just generally speaking, with and then accumulating snow on that over here. So it's not a full Wisconsin event. It's more like, who's lucky enough to get south of that cutoff line gradient. Maybe some dry air on the northern side there. The time frame for this is so today is Wednesday and it's going to be a nice day. This temperature is supposed to be should be higher than it is, but it's 44 showing upper 40s here Wednesday and Thursday, maybe even close to 50 degrees, which would be amazing. And then taking a downturn into the weekend, but the main event being this right in here. Okay, and really should be some sort of snowflakes up in here, rain too. PM in the south, main event on Saturday, and then ending somewhere in here. Going to the temperature graph. This is for Madison, showing it. Finally we got the temperatures closer to 50 degrees there, which is way above average. I mean, that's probably 15 degrees at least above average, with overnight lows down to upper 20s, even maybe the low 30s, but that's above average too. And the big thing to note here is that as we go this way, it gets a lot colder, so closer to average perhaps in that time frame. So let's take a look at the storm. Sorry if I left you kind of at the climax there of the storm, but let's take it through this time period. So we're here on Friday. This is noon, and then 6 p.m. here on Friday night, showing you some of that precipitation breaking out across northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and Iowa. At first, it might be mixed with rain or drizzle or somewhere in between with maybe a little mix or something, with temperatures probably running a little bit above freezing. Where it's snowing, I don't know that this is going to amount to much there on Friday p.m., so I didn't really mention it. As we go into Saturday, that morning that kind of continues. This is 6 a.m. Saturday morning. Now you're seeing a little bit more action going on there across southern Wisconsin. Right in here, you're kind of seeing those darker shades of blue, darker shades of green coming together here as this low pressure system moves in towards the southern tip. I don't know if it's going to hit exactly on the lake. It might just be south of that. We'll see how the track goes, but you're seeing Saturday morning, things start to pick up a little bit across southern Wisconsin. Again, northern Wisconsin, not seeing too much going on here, except maybe these pressure gradient lines are tightening up a little bit, so you're going to get some wind coming out of the north as the storm starts to spin past on Saturday. Going to noon hour on Saturday, kind of the same story continues, and then you go. Now the GFS, this is the 12Z GFS, just is not necessarily the same on all models, so just keep in mind that maybe it's a little bit too aggressive there across the lakeshore. With thermal profiles, I mean, lake being probably still a little bit warm. I'm not going to say that. I don't think that the lake enhancement is going to be that impressive, but we'll see. And then we're going to Sunday morning. This is supposed to be 6 a.m. on Sunday morning with maybe some flurries hanging on across the eastern Lake Michigan shoreline. We'll see on that timing. I want to show you the upper level. This is the vorticity map. Just kind of give you some high-level context to this system. You have, it looks like a southern stream system. This is the storm right here. This is southern stream flow. A little bit of help from the Arctic polar jet here. Again, that's just my interpretation of it. So we go through into Friday, and then so if you go back and look at the beginning of the system, again, it's not that well put together there Friday night, but as you go into Saturday, it starts to become more organized. And you're seeing that kind of here at this upper level. This upper level energy is not well organized until Saturday, and then it intensifies and I wouldn't say rapidly organized, but it almost takes on a negative tilt too, almost. You're seeing that trough axis is pretty tilted there. So, and then you get the 500 millibar that seems to be deepening there, kind of across the same area and where the heaviest snows, or just southeast of where the heaviest snows probably will end up being. So Something to keep an eye on there. And then as that upper trough moves off, it doesn't really like, I don't know, this just doesn't look that great by Monday or Tuesday. But there, when it comes through Wisconsin, it looks good enough to produce some snow. This is going to be the 10 to 1 snow ratio off the European. This is the latest and greatest. And again, 10 to 1 might be too high. So I would say you're probably going to have lower snow ratios that would reduce these snow totals, especially across the Chicago area, Northeast Illinois, what it's showing here. Again, I have to remind you that these models are all different and they keep changing. I'm just kind of trying to give you some context as we go later on into this forecast period. It's day 3, and this is the party's just starting. But this is the European. What I noticed from this is a pretty narrow band, not very thick or beefy, narrow, with a relatively sharp cutoff. I mean, you have nothing here to about 6 at a 10 to 1 ratio inches. There, I don't know what counties those are, but that's along that highway between Madison and Milwaukee there. So that's narrow. I mean, again, when you want to talk about a major system, typically you have a larger swath. Okay, so this is, in my opinion, more of a moderate scale winter storm that, and locally might go to a higher impact. This is the GFS 12Z at the Kuchera method. Excuse me. That kind of shows generally the same zone. These amounts are pretty high. Again, I'm not ready to go there yet. I went 3 to 6 on our forecast, and I'll show you that in a second. But pretty high. I mean, but this is almost, it's really hard to articulate this because if you look at what it's doing in Iowa, not too much. Maybe it's cut off here. Not all of the forecast is showing that maybe the storm's still going on in lower Michigan at this point. But for whatever reason, right in here, it just blows it up. So this is something I have to be skeptical and just keep watching because it's kind of weird. And it could happen. Like I said, as that 500 millibar heights decrease and kind of as the storm deepens and organizes right there, that can happen. And I've seen it happen in recent years, at least one time. This is the NAM, and I just wanted to show you this because it is all the way out at 84 hours, which is its maximum, and it looks totally different than these other two. European, GFS, okay, just flipping back and forth, and then the NAM. Okay, so that's what you call an outlier, at least at this forecast period. It's not saying it's impossible that it would go to that. I'm just saying that's what we got to work with. Looking at the GFS ensembles at a 10 to 1 ratio, I thought this was interesting, and it kind of paints that swath even a little bit further north than the operational model I just showed you. And I'm not sure how much I would read into this. I just kind of like to look at the ensembles to get the axis generally. The other thing I wanted to show you about this, again, just kind of reaffirming that same zone, kind of southern Wisconsin, southeast Wisconsin perhaps. Not so much in Chicago on these ensembles. But if we go and take a look at how these ensembles have changed over time, you're going to see just a slight northward trend in the snow axis and a strengthening and more snow kind of signal coming through. All right, let me go all the way back to, let's see, this is 2 days ago. What it was showing, these ensembles for that time period, not too much going on. I mean, that was a weak system at that point, but it was changing run to run. And then I think yesterday morning, it shifted to a southern Wisconsin trend here for the snow after spending many days all over the place in here, So that's sort of where we're at now. And then as we go through time, that's the new trend that we're sitting at now for the last 24 hours or so. Sorry if that's confusing. But then as we go through the day yesterday, you're starting to see it zone in on that more consistently, that area of southern Wisconsin. And then today's trend is to make it more snowy with maybe just the slightest northward trend. Okay. By northward trend, I just mean that it's kind of the snow zone might be heading this way a little bit each run. So you're going to see that also in the European. And just for what it's worth, just sharing so that you know, this is the run from yesterday midnight and then going closer to now. You're seeing how that's just so slightly shifting north. So something to keep in mind if you live in this region. I live here, so I would love to see the snow. But I mean, again, I can't be a wishful thinker here. I just have to kind of go by it. But anyways, the further north this thing trends, the more snow that comes to central Wisconsin, essentially. But right now, it's kind of looking like it's going to be more down in southern Wisconsin. This is what the models show today. Again, this is a long process. This is day 3. It's not a major system yet. It could be, but I'm kind of playing the middle of the road situation here. And then the next 2 days, you would have more consistency, more confidence to go a little bit further with it. Now, I did show you some models that showed 6 inches plus. Again, if we can at least, if we can at least get the 3 to 6, then we can always go up. You don't want to just go straight to the bullseye top highest amounts on day 3 there, because it's the chances of you being right are slim, and obviously a lot of the times the tracks shift. So that's what I got today. I didn't. There's not much that I would talk about beyond this system. I'm not seeing any major storms in that time frame yet, but um, I know there was a system that the GFS showed some southern stream energy on my last update, but I don't know. It's not as consistent anymore. So at least we have this to talk about, and I'll be back tomorrow and maybe the next day too, assuming that this thing kind of comes through as it's prog to, and maybe some live stuff going on that way. So thank you for watching. I will talk to you guys later.